Bonus weekend commander content, and we have ourselves a mirror match. Lazav the Multifarious versus Lazav the Multifarious, and we have... Oh, if we got into blue there, that might not be terrible because of Jace, but I'm going to mulligan that and just try and get into 2 lands. Yeah, we have Vampiric Shooter in there, a Snapcaster Mage, and I don't like that, so we're going to put that onto the bottom. We'll go for a tap land. We will not go for a tap land. I thought that was our turn because we had some cards highlighted. It is our opponent's turn, and we'll see who manages to mill their library first and get into a win condition. Looks like we can go for Vampiric Tutor for something and then head into Snapcaster Mage targeting the Vampiric Tutor. I think Smuggler's Copter is a good addition. That means that they can discard whatever's in their hand that they want to discard down to. I think we are going to hold up Vampiric Tutor and Notion Thief here. If our opponent decides they want to draw extra cards, which they may do with the Smuggler's Copter, then we can instead draw that with the Notion Thief. This is a 3-1 with Flash in Dimir. Costs 4 mana. If an opponent would draw a card, except the first one they draw in each of their draw steps, instead that player skips the draw and we draw instead. And this is, whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. Yeah, that's fine. We're not going to do anything about that. We'll instead wait for them to attack with the Smuggler's Copter, which I assume they're going to do. Whenever it attacks or blocks, you may draw a card. Yep. They can choose not to draw. We'll wait for them to attack first, and they will get 3 damage in on us, but we can try and make them not draw. And maybe they'll just go off reflex and try and draw the extra card. They choose not to. So they'll just hit us for 3. And I think we'll put a stop on our upkeep and go for something with the Vampiric Tutor. And we'll go for Tails on that. And say OK. And then go for a Vampiric Tutor into... Oh, what could we do? Did we just go for... Yeah, I think we just go for the Phyrexian Dreadnought. That's the fastest way to try and win a game, so we'll go for that. And then get down our commander. And then we can actually turn it into a Phyrexian Dreadnought copy. See what we surveil first. It's an island. We'll put that... Yeah, we'll put that into our graveyard and see if we can get into anything else. And then we will Phyrexian Dreadnought. We'll have to sacrifice it immediately, which will cancel that, and then turn Lazav with the floating mana into the Phyrexian Dreadnought, ready to swing in next turn. And it can also block, obviously, as well. And we'll get in for 3 on the Notion Thief. It's seldom that, especially when you manage to get the Phyrexian Dreadnought so quickly, it's how we win most games. And if you can get it as quickly as that, it's seldom that it comes down to... Oh, and we shouldn't have turned it into the Phyrexian Dreadnought because we actually kept it from being black. And our opponent just blowing all their targeted removal on our creatures. And now they can actually get into looting, so see if they discard anything relevant. Oh, they get into Phage the Untouchable. They are 2, 4, 5 mana off that. Only 2 mana off that. It costs 7. We will go for Tails off this. Lost the flip. I think we can just go for Lazav again now, to be honest. Oh, Buried Alive can get us something, so... Yeah, why don't we go for Buried Alive and hope that our opponent doesn't get into... Yeah, we can go for Snapcaster Mage into Vampiric Tutor and then get some kind of counter magic or something to get their Lazav off the battlefield, especially if they turn it into a Phage. As for right now, we can go for... What do we want here? We can go for Invisible Stalker. That is good with the Phyrexian Dreadnought. And what else do we want? Viscerous here, Vector Asp. Vector Asp could actually get us a win the turn that Phyrexian Dreadnought swings in. And we'll get the Dimir Infiltrator in there as well, just as something else that has unblockable. And then we can hold up Snapcaster Mage into Vampiric Tutor. And Vampiric Tutor might be able to get us Lightning Greaves or something like that. It depends on what our opponent does. Oh, and I've counted that they have. I counted Smuggler's Copter last turn as a land, and it obviously isn't. That's 4. Now they've got 5 mana. They're now 2 mana off a Fades the Untouchable, but they'll have to get their commander out first. So we can just see if our opponent swings in here, which they do. So we can draw a card here. Or our opponent will draw a card if they hit us. So we'll see if they have counter magic. We'll go for Snapcaster Mage. And for some reason, Magic Online isn't loading up that artwork. We'll go for Vampiric Tutor. And I think it gains flashback until the end of the turn. It does, so we will do that at the end of our opponent's turn. The longer we can leave that, the more information is available to us. And we'll block that, keep them from drawing a card. They're down to 2 cards in hand. And they don't have anything to Smuggler's Copter with. And they draw 2 cards and discard a card. Unless they attack with a creature this turn. So that is just draw 2 cards for 2 mana. Why not? And see if they've got anything for 3. They might go for their commander here. They do, so we can go for most likely some kind of removal for Lazav. They don't have any means of giving it hexproof. And I doubt they're going to do anything for a single black to protect it. So we'll probably go for the Dismember here. And we'll grab a... I'll have to grab a Shockland here. Not too worried about our life total typically in Lazav deck because the deck seems to run quite quickly. So Lazav is going to be 4 next turn. Then if we Dismember, we can turn it into... we can't protect it in response unfortunately, but we can get rid of our opponent's creature here. So we'll go for... Yeah, I think we go for a Dismember. Pass over to our opponent. We see if we get bolted, as usual with the Mana Crypt. That'll be a Tails that we lose, so we do need to draw this game to a close quite quickly. And we'll get our commander down. That will cost 4 mana, of course. And then depending on... Well, let's see what we surveil first. That is another bit of artwork that isn't... We'll put that on top because that will actually protect us from things like, not Beseju, Bojuka Bog. The wrong land. Yeah, Bojuka Bog is... there are 3 means of... It's a land that exiles someone's graveyard, and there are 3 means of protecting from those triggers in this deck. One of which is Disallow. So it would be nice to have that in hand. And Reliquary Tower is not something that I imagine you'd want in a Lazav deck. Let's see what our opponent's going for here. Target player sacrifices a creature. This is just a case of seeing who can keep hold of Lazav for the longest, isn't it? Alright, we'll sacrifice our Lazav then. And we will of course kill our opponent's Lazav if they... Yeah, so they're going to swing in. They can't recast it this turn. And we'll wait and see if they want to turn it into anything in response. We'll let them tap out on that, and then we will go for our Dismember. And we'll have to pay 2 life towards that. And that's our opponent tapped out. And it lets us do something, and we'll just have to hope that our opponent doesn't have any more answers for us. It's tails again. We win this time, that's very good. And another, yeah, that's the disallow, the artless disallow. That is 6 mana for Lazav. We'll try again to get that out. Unfortunately, we won't be able to protect it. I was hoping to protect the Lazav with the Invisible Stalker if they use targeted removal, but they of course did not. We'll keep that on top just in case we need to get into Lazav yet again. That will put us halfway to getting there. We'll need 8 mana to cast it again. If our opponent has an answer here. Okay, playing the Demir Locket. It's the new Mana Rock cycle from Guilds of Ravnica, and another answer. So only 1 card in hand now. And we'll see if this Mana Rock ends up killing us. It does not. We draw into our land for the turn. And I think the only thing we can do here is hold up the disallow. So our opponent decides to try and exile our graveyard. We can prevent that from happening with the disallow. It's counter target spell, activated or triggered ability. So something like Besage You or the Spell Bomb, Kneel Spell Bomb. Anything like that can be prevented with the disallow. I imagine our opponent will tap out for their commander here. They might assume that we have counter magic in hand. We do not, so we will just go for, if our opponent's not going to do anything, then that's fine with me. We'll go for the, just the Sunken Hollow is fine. And then see what we get into here. Oh, we lost the flip, so that puts us closer to, but Mirror Phantasm will mill a lot of cards. And it's a 5/1 with flying, so we'll see if our opponent wants to counter this. That'll cost us 5. And then we will have the ability open as well. So if they do decide to magic, hello, there we go. If they do decide to exile our graveyard, we can at least refill it with the Mirror Phantasm. I doubt they'll have targeted removal and mass graveyard exile. But our opponent might have us on this one. We're down to 5 life with a Mana Crypt on the board. And they have kept our commander off the board quite well. This of course will block the Smuggler's Copter very well also. 1 hit from the Smuggler's Copter and then a hit from the Mana Crypt will be enough to get rid of us, I think. And draw 2 cards off the Demir Locket. They were holding up mana for that. So could very well have gotten into more targeted removal. We don't hold much of that in this deck. We just tend to rely on unblockable and evasive creatures that our opponents don't seem to be able to deal with. I mean, Invisible Stalker is perfect because it's hexproof and unblockable. And looks like they might just be holding up. Yeah, just holding back and waiting for the Mana Crypt to kill us maybe. And we have Sunken Ruins, so we can go in for the Mirror Phantasm and then tap out for our commander. And we're in such a rush to beat the Mana Crypt to our death. And perhaps, that was a pretty big mistake. Shouldn't have swung in with that because our opponent can get down the commander and get us with the Smuggler's Copter. But I think this game is pretty much done anyway. I've never, not that I've played all that many games with Lazav, the Multifarious, but I've never had such trouble keeping it on the board. We'll go for a Surveil here and put the Swamp on top just in case our opponent gets rid of the Lazav again and we get really lucky with the Mana Crypt. But I dare say we're going to see more answers here. Our opponent doesn't have too much to worry about in the graveyard. Each player sacks 2 creatures, yeah, okay. We'll Go for those, of course, and I don't know how much our opponent's commander is to get out. If it's 4, we can take 3 here from the Smuggler's Copter. Smuggler's Copter is a very good addition. That's a great way to get some damage in and have you discard cards as well. Oh, but they don't go for that, so that could buy us a turn. We lost the flip there, so that is swamp into nothing. Yeah, looks like we lose this one. Our opponent successfully managed to keep us off Lazav. If you want to win with a Lazav deck, you have to make sure to keep him on the board. Unfortunately, there's no... I don't think I have any mass reanimation in here, like Living Death or anything, because we have things like Phage the Untouchable. When that enters off something like a Living Death, you lose the game. So we don't have anything like that in here. We are strictly relying on Lazav the Multifarious. We'll pass over to our opponent. And, you know, if they go for something flashy like a Phage the Untouchable, we could actually counter that with the activated ability. And because they think they have the game won, they might try and do something flashy like that. Now, there's nothing to stop them going for something else that's cheaper. Yeah, they're going for Phage here, so can they go for something else for 2 mana that will get us? That's 3 mana. That's not... No, we can actually counter that. I don't think this is going to help us win the game, but it's a fun thing to counter. It'll see us through, and maybe we'll die to the Mana Crypt trigger instead. And maybe we can keep our opponent from a satisfying win with the Phage the Untouchable there. We take 1 point of commander damage. And see if we die to the Mana Crypt trigger here. We do. We lose the flip. And we lose to the mirror match, Lazav the Multifarious. It was just a case of who could get their Lazav to stick. We cast ours 4 times, I think, there. And couldn't get it to stick, so GG to our opponent, and hopefully you're enjoying these bonus rounds on Lazav the Multifarious in Guilds of Ravnica week. New commander on Monday, and content resumes as normal from Monday onwards for the rest of the week. So hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.